Okay, thanks, Aaron. All right, so this is just so everyone listening knows we're live on Spencer Cable Access. This is the Finance Committee meeting of March 9th, 2021. We have not yet called the meeting to order because we do not yet have a quorum of Finance Committee members. And it's a joint meeting with the Board of Selectmen. And I do not see, I see a couple of unidentified callers. I do not see, I don't know if any of them are selectmen or other members of finance. Okay, good. We now have a finance committee quorum. Are there any selectmen on board? And how about Tom Gregory?
I'm here. This is Tom.
Oh, hi, Tom. Okay. Can you talk again so I see what number you are, please? Oh,
Sure. This is Tom calling in.
great. You're,
Get it?
yep.
Good.
Okay. Good. All right. Any selectmen?
Mary,
All right,
Ralph. Mary, I'm sorry. Ralph Hicks did say that that he's dialed into the school committee's budget hearing at 7.
Okay. I know it's regrettable we had a conflict, but we have resolved that for next year. All right. So we have a quorum of finance committee members. So why don't I call the finance committee meeting to order. It's 7:02 p.m. All right, and let me read the official announcement. The meeting is being conducted remotely consistent with Governor Baker's executive order of March 12, 2020, pursuant to the current state of emergency in the Commonwealth due to the outbreak of the COVID-19 virus. In order to mitigate the transmission of the COVID-19 virus, we have suspended public gatherings, and as such, the governor's order suspends the requirement of the open meeting law to have all meetings in a publicly accessible physical location. For this meeting, all finance committee members are remote, and as such, all votes will be taken by roll call in accordance with Regulation 940 CMR 29.10 of the open meeting law. Okay. Thanks. All right, first thing on the agenda, the minutes of the February 23rd meeting that you all received from Bill Wall via email the other day. Someone can make a motion.
I move that we approve them.
Thanks, Ed. Second?
I will second it.
Thanks, Dennis. Any further questions, comments, discussion? In that case, roll call vote. Paul McLaughlin.
Aye.
Bill Wall.
Aye.
Ed Sproul.
Aye.
Dennis O'Leary.
Aye.
Chris Bowen.
Aye.
Are there any other finance committee members there? I see I have 6 other callers. Okay, and the chair votes aye. So it passes unanimously. And now we begin the annual discussion of the budget. Every year we invite all our department heads in to talk to us about their hopes and their concerns and their plans. And I know how frustrating it is for all of them and all of us that the progress seems so slow sometimes on doing anything. But there is some progress. First person we have on tonight is Bob Parsons, and through his diligent work, we have 4 full-time firefighters. It was phased in. It took some doing, but we managed. So I think that gives us hope for things in the future. I will also say that there is a survey up. Financial Management Planning Committee has designed a survey. It's up on our website, on the town website right now, and it responds to a lot of the needs that the department heads have identified. We will be rolling it out in a much more formal manner. There will be print copies and so on coming up. But I just want to say to all you department heads, we're trying to ask the folks what they would like to do and how they would like to pay, what their suggestions are. So with that being said, welcome, Chief. Thank you for coming. You've been very, very busy, and I really want to thank you so much for all the work you're doing on the COVID, getting the vaccinations and working with people to inform them and deliver vaccinations and deliver people to vaccinations. And I mean, that's way above anything I bet you'd ever thought you'd be doing at this time of year. So thank you. So with that, we all have received copies of the of your proposed budget requests. And so you have some, would you like to talk a little bit about yours, Chief?
Oh, sure. We can go down through it. So we'll start off with wages. Everything is based on my contract is for the fire chief, deputy chief, senior director of operations, and the salaries for the on-call firefighters. Those are given to me. Those figures from Tom, and that's based on the COLA every year. Goes up a little bit. Now, if everyone's not familiar, most of our department is on call. So those firefighters only get paid when they go to a call or they're at training, and they get paid a minimum of 1 hour. And it could be anywhere from $19 an hour to $17 an hour based on their rank. The captain gets one rate, lieutenants get another, and a firefighter gets another. And we've been lucky because we're doing a lot more calls now than we have in the past, but we're not having the length of calls. Like a building fire could last 5, 6, 7 hours. Those are the things that chew that up, that figure up. And that figure is basically an average of where we spend based on calls, call volume, and things of that over a course of the years. There's been years, if you remember, Mary, I've had to come back for more payroll money. And there's been years that we've been able to transfer some of that payroll money to pay expenses that were over and above because we didn't have the amount of fires. This is brush fire season coming up, and typically those can end up being very lengthy and very expensive. Hopefully that's not the case going forward. So the other thing is salaries for the 4 full-time firefighters. This is the first year the town is going to be taking on the entire salaries. The grant ran out back in January of this year. And so the full expense is going to be borne by the town, and with the due diligence of the town administrator and the finance committee and the select board, they had planned on being able to take care of that when that grant did run out, which is, it's been a godsend. I'll have to admit it. It's without having 2 people in the building during the day, the trucks a lot of time wouldn't be going out to calls. I mean, they are it during the day. If no one knows about the full-timers, they work 12-hour shifts, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m., and they work 7 days a week. Excuse me, we have 4 full-timers, so 2 are on every day on a shift, and they work 4 days on, 4 days off. So a typical 42-hour work week. If they have to come in over and above for their duty calls at night, because they're still on call at night, once they reach 53 hours, then they start accumulating overtime. It's under the Fair Labor Standards Act as a firefighter. So during the daytime, that's our crucial time of having anybody in the building, because if you look at our call volume, 70 to 75% of our calls are during the daytime hours. Don't do a lot of calls after 6 p.m. This week alone, last week, the ladder company went out at 10:30 at night on Monday and didn't get back to the station at 5:30 in the morning. And
Wow.
that was due to all the heavy winds that we had with trees and wires down. But then they didn't have a call for the rest of the week. So it's kind of cyclical with our job. It's it's based on call volume and length. And if we have calls, we have calls. If we don't, we don't. Or we can't pick and choose on how we do things. So then we have the office manager, who's my clerk. She works 4 days a week. She doesn't work on Fridays. And then our facilities maintenance worker, it's an hour and a half a day that he comes in. He basically cleans the bathroom and does any repairs that need to be done that we pick out. Everything else, snow removal, mowing the grass, the full-timers have picked that up because he just doesn't have the time after that was cut a few years ago. His hours get cut in half. So under this budget, you'll see there's 2 new line items. One is a per diem shift for on-call firefighters, which is new, which is $11,000. And then there's a stipend for the on-call firefighters, which is new, and that's $8,000. So one of the issues that, and I think every call fire department has been running into in the last 15 or 20 years, is that we are having a extremely hard time getting call firefighters, people to volunteer to work for the fire department. And one of the issues that we're running into is, especially on weekends, is they're working. They're working 6 days a week. They're working a second job Saturday, Sunday. Or the other issue is their kids are in sports. They're doing travel baseball. They're traveling all over the country, Northeast at least. We have a number of guys that do that with their kids. So it comes down to they have to make a decision. Am I going to do stuff for my family, or am I going to do stuff for the fire department? And once again, they could stay home the entire day on a Saturday, even though their wife had planned them to go somewhere, but they stay home because they're on call, and then not have any calls whatsoever. And that kind of rubs the family a little bit. You've been staying home, you stayed home the entire day, and now there was no calls. We could have went here, we could have went there. So what we're trying to eliminate with this is make the weekends just like they are during the week. So during the week, the on-call firefighters become on call at 6 p.m. at night, and they go off at 5 o'clock in the morning. We have an hour gap in the morning where we really don't have much coverage other than the incoming group comes on at 6. I know they'll be around, and myself. But typically 5 a.m., that's when everybody starts leaving for work. Typically can't get anybody after that. Anything during the course of the day during a week is what we consider an all-call. We send out an all-call for anybody that's available to come to the station. Typically, it's only the 2 full-timers that show up. So on the weekend, we want to change that. So we have 4 people in the station, the 2 full-timers plus 2 on-call firefighters per diem, Saturday and Sunday. That way if you're doing a project at home and you're on duty that weekend, you can go to Home Depot and get what you need. You can go to Lowe's and get what you need. You can go to Boston if you need to pick someone up at the airport without having to worry about, I got to get coverage or something like that. This will eliminate the weekends being a burden to the call firefighters, and it'll also give us a full crew in the building that we don't have to rely on. They'll still tone the on-duty company, but they're not required to be there. Right now, if they don't show up, they get marked as absent, and then there's a criteria based on each company if they have to make a certain amount of calls. So that would eliminate that. And this is something that we're trying to do. We have a committee for recruitment and retention. So it's not just trying to recruit new firefighters, but we're trying to retain the ones that we have. We put a lot of investment into these guys and girls, and we want to keep them on the fire department and keep them happy any way we can. So this would be a small investment that we would put into the department that we would only fill with on-call people. This would not be an overtime shift for the full-timers or anything else. This would strictly be for the on-call people, and it would allow 2 people per day, Saturday and Sunday. That would eliminate the on-call people they could go off at 5 a.m. now and not have to worry about being at the station. The other issue, the other thing that we've asked for is a stipend for the on-call firefighters. Now, the on-call firefighters right now, they stay home every night from 6 p.m. on, and they get nothing for it, nothing at all. So we are looking to try and do away with that and try and give them something back. And once again, this is a retention thing. Because I know when I speak of these things as a husband with my wife, is she would look at this as going, I think you should stay in the fire department a few more years. If you know you're going to get a little bit of something to stay home at night now, or stay in town at least. So we're looking at they would get $14, like a captain or a lieutenant would get $14 a day. It's not an hour, it's just a day to be on call at night. And there would be one driver per company that we would pay them $12 an hour, $12 a day. And then the firefighters would get paid $10 per day. Now, for us to make this work and make it fair and equitable, we have about 8 member companies. So we would divvy up each company into 4. So then there would be only 4 people on duty those nights versus 8. And it'd be the same thing. I wouldn't be paying 8 people now to show up for a CO alarm. I'd only be paying 4, those 4 people. And this would just be another incentive. It's roughly $300 a week to pay this off. And if we do it for the entire year, you're talking just over $8,000, $8,400. And once again, this is just part of our retention. Whatever we can do. If you remember, Mary, we proposed a length of service award program.
Right.
Trying to do that. That's just not going to fly. The town doesn't have the funds to that. I mean, the first couple of years was like $90,000 to try and do that. And of course, it drops off because they're going to buy the back end of it. But we know that's not going to happen. The town doesn't have the funds for it. So this was actually proposed by the firefighters themselves. They came forward with this to try and do something to try and help people out, try and reduce that load. So now, instead of you're on call every 4 weeks, now you're only on call every 8 weeks. So it eliminates a little bit of always putting to the fire department. It's not like me. This is my job. I hate to say it. It's my life. I love the fire department. As you can see, I'm still here in my office, did capital planning, and now I'm here. So if we can do anything we can to help out the firefighters, that's what my job is to do, and to work on that, to get them anything to keep them on the department. Because every time we get a new person and it costs the town a lot more money, it costs roughly $4,000 per person every time we bring somebody on. And if I can retain 50 people for $8,000 a year, I think it's a good investment for the town. Not that we're not going to turn people away. We're still looking for people. We just don't have people knocking on our doors. We're down to 37 firefighters right now. So it's getting back down to the low point again like we were a couple of years ago. So that's salaries. And I went back and looked today because I got the final figures from Tom. It's actually only an increase of $31,000 over last year, my budget. But most of it is picking up the remainder of the full-time salaries because we had half a year this year. And then those two increases as well. Any question on salaries?
Mary?
Anyone? Yes? Bill?
Yes, Chief, congratulations on thinking outside the box, and I certainly support the initiative for the on-call firefighters. And that's definitely a lot cheaper than trying to do the length of service. So I fully support that. In addition to asking for that, you would ask for $5,000 in overtime for the full-timers at the same time. Can you speak to what you felt the need was there?
To be honest, the $35,000 for overtime, that covers just all the vacation time, sick time, and personal time. Overtime over and above that isn't even figured into that cost. But I realize money's tight, and Tom, you know, we're well aware of it. I'd speak to the administrator that was going to get cut. but we can work out that within the on-call firefighters money anyways, because right now we've been running over on that. That's the overtime is strictly for the 4 full-time firefighters. And just about every week there's some type of overtime based on call volume or training or guys taking days off or something like that. And that's what's factored into that figure.
So, Madam Chair, I would just through you to the administrator, if we get more state aid than anticipated, for example, I would request that Tom come and revisit this item.
Okay. All right, sure.
I'd just like to mention one more thing on wages. I thought Mr. Shemuth was gonna bring it up, but the money that we're gonna spend to help the on-call firefighters to stay on the department and remain on call is much cheaper than one full-time firefighter. We've had this discussion, if we continue down the road that we have been with not getting people coming in, and people retiring and down the road, you're probably not probably in my lifetime, but at least not my tenure here, you're probably going to be looking at more full-time people to take up that slack. And with salaries and benefits, anything we can do to maintain the on-call firefighters is the way to go.
Absolutely. It is, as you say, an amazing commitment. People have to drop everything and show up. Doesn't matter what's going on in their personal lives when you need something. Now, if you had a full-blown emergency, I mean, you had everybody would still show up, right? You said that you put out the all calls, so.
Yeah, if we get a building fire, it's an all call. That's full-time staff are coming back. Anybody that's available is coming in. And then any day or night, you're only talking 20 to 25 people based on their lives.
Mm-hmm. And I noticed you've been doing some training. You've over here on Thompson Pond, you've had your folks out with their sleds and things like that. So are you doing other training as well?
Well, yeah, we're very limited because of COVID on what we can do. We can't do any classroom type thing. It's actually been pretty good. We did a Zoom classroom the other day. Deputy Chief Lakir did it. I thought it was very well attended by everybody because they go and watch it right from work. And I thought it went very well. I was really hesitant, but the Zoom stuff has really worked for us. Other than that, like with the ice rescue training, we had to break it up into 4 groups and do, 2 scenarios, 2 groups per day. So we could do 2 separate scenarios and then they'd swap, because we got to keep them a distance away. Everybody's got to have masks on, social distancing and stuff. And we also got to look at that as well with our training upcoming as well. Everyone that, got the vaccine, has been vaccinated both times on the fire department, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
So hopefully in the near future, we can get back to working as one department versus every time we do training, we got to break it up into smaller groups.
A challenge. Any other questions about salaries from Finance Committee?
Madam Chair, as a follow-up to your question on the training, Chief, if hopefully at some point this year, things will get back to whatever the new normal is. Do you have sufficient funds for training in this budget to cover trainings in person when you're able to do them?
Yes. Yep. Regardless of in person or we break it up into small groups, we still have the same number of people. It's just set up different times, different days. So that is figured into that on-call salary budget, all the training that we typically do through the course of the year, because it's figured in an hourly rate on how many hours we do each training and how many people are on the department.
And the new facility in Auburn, have you had the opportunity to use it, or has COVID gotten in your way?
Well, we have toured it. Once again, we had to break into small groups. Each town had to go a separate day and different times. So we were able to tour it recently. Deputy Chief Lakier is going to be going through training with 1 or 2 other members of our department. They get to set up training on that. We do have certified igniters and things like that already on the department because we did a lot of training with District 7 before. This is a building that's almost identical to one that we've trained with in Connecticut, but it's right in Auburn. It's 10 minutes away, which is awesome. We haven't had the opportunity. They're still tweaking different things and making sure it's all set. But we have a live burn on our schedule at least for in the future at that location. So hopefully that'll come to fruition fairly soon. And that's one thing that's in my expense budget is our yearly maintenance fee. Basically, that's going to be included in on that. That was a $700,000 grant. That our share was $4,000 that we did at the fall town meeting or the one previously. That was our share. So we get a $700,000 building basically for $4,000, and then we have to come up with $1,000 a year to maintain it and to purchase a straw and things like that. Because you really just like our own town buildings, you got to maintain them, or there's gonna be nothing to train with within 10 years.
And nice to know up front that the training, that the upkeep has been planned for.
Yep.
It's in the budget. Good. Any other questions about salaries for the chief? And if not, equipment?
All right. So apparatus maintenance, even though last year was 50,000, but that was an additional 20,000 that you guys gave us, or the town gave us at fall town meeting. So going forward, that's where we're going to be at for vehicle maintenance. Doesn't mean we won't be back. Unfortunately, that's one of those things that every single year we run short of is vehicle maintenance. We have a couple of older trucks, mid 30-year-old. We have another engine that's going to be 30 years old. So we get some older pieces of apparatus that are in age. Hopefully engine 3, when that gets replaced, that'll be good. But again, as soon as you put the fire service on it, the cost of everything goes through the roof. I remember years ago, someone was wanting to know why we don't go to Jiffy Lube to get our oils changed, because the trucks are a lot different than a normal car. For us to get it serviced every year, it's a $1,200 bill for an engine. There's an awful lot to it. They change every oil, fluid, all the portable pumps, the generators. Some of the filters are $1,000, close to $1,000 on some of the trucks. But that's one of the things. And we're going to be running into the issue, as you're aware, of the ladder truck. Hopefully when we get that back from being repaired, we're going to have to do something with that in taking care of that. So electricity, natural gas, heat is the same. Telephone has gone up. The reason for that is through the CARES Act, we were able to get iPads finally in all our apparatus, other than Forestries 2 and 3, which were the military trucks. They're still somewhat 24 volt, so we couldn't put them in that. We can now access our reporting software and software to look at occupancies and stuff right from the apparatus, where we never could do that before with our old software that we have. The new software is a web-based software. It's awesome. As you're sitting at a car accident, you can start filling out the report while you're sitting there. It really works well. And we also have another app called I Am Responding that we use that's on these. And it actually, everybody uses it to tell that they're responding to the station or to the scene. And the guys sitting in the apparatus will know who's coming. So if they pull the truck out, they can look quickly and they say, oh, 2 more people are coming. Let's wait for them to arrive. Where before they'd be pulling out, going down the street as they were coming up the road. So the iPads are godsend, and it's something that we've wanted to do for at least 5 or 6 years, but our old software really didn't allow us to do it. And then through the CARES Act, they allowed us to purchase the iPads and the mounts to mount them in the truck. We just have to pay the phone bill for the air cards going forward. And that's what that amount is. We also have, it's a telephone bill, so everybody realizes it's not just to cover the phones at the fire station. We have 3 lines coming into the station, but that's not it. The biggest expense we have is our radio lines. Those are through the telephone lines, and they go to 5 different locations in town, and those are a few $100s each month, and that's how we communicate. So if I'm up on Thompson Pond Road, perhaps for an accident or something, we're sitting down in that valley, we cannot talk back to the fire station or to our main site up at the high school, but we have a receive site at the 4-H camp. And that allows us to talk from there to the 4-H camp, and then through the phone lines, it comes back to what they call a comparator. And then that sends out through the repeater in milliseconds, the actual voice. So we have 5 of those locations throughout town. St. Joseph's Abbey was one here at the fire station, is one at the high school, and is one at LBF, the goat farm on Route 31 at the Charlton line. So they allow us to put those there for free. We just have to pay for the phone line going in, and of course phone repairs, because they haven't put new phone lines up since the 1930s here in Spencer. So that's an ongoing battle. But those are 2 major expenses that we have to have, and we have to have the phone lines. There's no other way of doing it in Spencer. They do like microwave with the state police off the fire towers. We can't do it. We have too many hills right here in town. We don't have the elevation like the fire towers do with the state police. And the only other thing, if I remember correctly, is some of the leases, like the lease for the tower, the second year of the lease actually goes down a little bit in the second year, and then it stays steady. But that's the only other increase that I have in my expense account. So that's just for the telephone and for the $1,000 over in Auburn. Everything else should be the same. Building maintenance, the VFIS insurance is a 3-year contract. Apparatus repairs, Spencer Rescue Squad contract. Everything else has been level funded, and we have kept it at that for a number of years now.
And how's that working? Have you been able to get by with the level funding? Have had to give anything up, or?
No, we haven't had to give anything up. Like this year, the thing that kills you is like, and I'll go to the charter. Charter we have a price that we're working, we budget with a price, we get into a new year, then it goes up $30 a month. And it's like, so we just take that money from, the miscellaneous expenses or whatever and try and plug that in to make it work. We had the same issue, the sewer department last year, after budgets were already in, they did their increase. So it wasn't a huge increase, but it's an increase that we didn't figure on. So I got to put that in. But everything else has been working out well. We'll see with the heat this year. They're doing radiant heat in the building with a grant that Bill Krakowski had gotten right now. I have no idea what that's going to do with my heating bill. Is the gas going to make it go up for the units, or is it going to make it go down because the building's much warmer? But other than that, we're pretty good. Building maintenance, that takes care of, toiletries to fixing doors if need be. But it's all very minor repairs. Anything we got to do that's a major repair, we got to go look for more money because the money is just not in the budget. The budgets are pretty tight on what we have.
Anyone have any questions for the chief about the second part of the budget?
Madam Chair?
Bill.
First, Chief, how much have you spent in the vehicle maintenance item this year so far? And do you anticipate the 50,000 not being enough in future years? Secondly, what is the next vehicle that would be replaced through the lease thing in your budget that isn't already listed? And thirdly, can you speak to your top priority in regards to your capital which is the need for a female restroom.
So right now, I'm just about $3,000 over the 50,000. I have no idea what we're gonna have at the end of the year, and then with any major repairs will kill us. Because we're right now, as I think everybody aware, the ladder truck is out of service currently. We had an issue with the engine. It's actually being rebuilt at a $20,000 cost to the community that we're going to have to transfer down the road from personal expenses, I think. And that a couple of years ago when we were at $30,000, July 4th, I got a phone call. Our ladder truck, the brakes came apart in it going to West Brookfield for a building fire. And it was locked up on Route 9. Had to send the mechanics out, pick it up, bring it back, make the repair. $5,000 repair 4 days into the new budget, and it ate up, an eighth of the budget on one repair within 4 days. It's an anomaly sometimes, but every time we make a repair, it's expensive. They're not cheap. They're not like your vehicle. I hope the $50,000 holds true for the next couple of years, which when I went back through my budget over the last 5 years and figured it out, I had 1 year we spent $70,000, and then another year we only spent, $40,000. So I think the 50,000 would be good. Now, once again, this year has been an anomaly. We had some major repairs that we had to do. But that's the one portion of my budget that's really tough to determine because it's based on the vehicles. We got some older vehicles that we need to take care of. We got to make sure they're maintained because there's no way in the world I'm going to ever send someone out on a truck that's going to have an issue with it, and God forbid someone gets hurt or someone gets killed. Every single day we get notifications of trucks that have been in accidents or whatever. This morning down in Carolina, a tanker going to reported structure fire, blew a tire and rolled over. Don't want to ever hear that phone call. It's something I don't want to hear. So we try and make sure that our trucks are 100%, especially when you're spending the money you're spending on these things, it's outrageous. So second part was the what vehicle, Bill?
Yes, Chief.
So right now, engine 3 is on order. Hopefully we'll have that in September. We put $100,000 down on it this year. With the leasing company, we're able to pay for it up front, which saves, the leasing company does, that saves us roughly $20,000, but it's still $650,000. So that one's going to be paid out over 7 years total because at $100,000, you got to figure it out. It's just longer in the cost. Next vehicle we would replace is engine 1, which is at the Abbey, our spare piece, and then engine 4 would go to the Abbey. Engine 1 is 36 years old. By the time we go replace it, it's going to be 41 years old. Well past its prime, if it lasts that long. And engine 4, when that gets brought up to the Abbey in 7 years, that's going to be 32 years old. It's going to go up there when it goes to the Abbey as our spare engine. But engine 3 is the next one. It's on order now, and that was part of the lease program on it. And when Rescue 1 comes off the lease, that just comes off the lease. There's not going to be, I don't think there's going to be another one on there unless, we're looking at replacing Forestry 2, which is just a pickup truck, which isn't a lot of money. And then the other thing was about the bathrooms upstairs. I just talked to Capital on that. We have it's a building built in 1973. So it was built for male firefighters. It wasn't built for ever thinking of having female firefighters. We now have 5 female firefighters on the department with no female facilities at all in the building. We have a bathroom upstairs with no doors on it because it wasn't designed with doors. It's wide open with urinals and toilets. We have a shower with it's not in a separate room. It's just sitting in the main room. We do have a shower curtain on it now, but it wasn't designed that. It's a gang shower, and that's what they did in the 70s. The issue we're running into right now is the shower is leaking down through the floor and into the walls, and they believe the pan underneath the shower is gone. So we have to replace that one way or the other. So the thought process is, well, if we got to do that, let's turn that shower, which is a fairly large room, into a female bathroom with a shower facility. And then we'll put 2 shower stalls in the male facility and then put doors on it, of course. And that was part of my capital presentation. One of the things that I don't say we're running into, but the big thing today is cancer prevention in the fire service. It's a big push. That's why we have the extractor that we got a couple years ago through the town to wash our turnout gear after every building fire to get all the carcinogens out of our gear. And also for the guys, they ask you, guys and girls, that you need to shower within 1 hour of coming back while your pores are still open. Shower and get rid of all that crap that's in your system. Guys, if someone was on a fire department before, they could tell you how many times you got in the shower and all you do is blowing your nose and it's all black. You're coughing up black for a day or two afterwards. You have to get this stuff out of your system for cancer prevention. And they're requesting, shower after 1 hour of being here. Well, if the girls that can't shower immediately after fire, they got to go home. First of all, they're washing their clothes full of smoke and carcinogens in their own washers that they wash their normal clothes or their kids' clothes with it. That's why we have our own washer and dryer now that we got through the CARES Act. But we want them to also be able to take a shower here and clean and get that off of them before they bring it home. Every time you get into your car, you're putting all that stuff in your seats, especially if you get cloth seats. It's just not a good thing to do. So we're trying to be proactive. We're trying to maintain our building and trying to give the females a facility that they would be proud of as well. Right now, we have 1 bathroom on the first floor. That's it, and it's a unisex bathroom. It's got a little slide lock on the door to lock it. That's the only place the females can go is that 1 bathroom downstairs with 1 toilet in it, and that's it. Is there anything else, Bill?
Okay, well, the rest of the committee, is there anything else? Well, we thank you so much for your time, Chief. Appreciate it, and
Very
we hope
welcome.
we hope that that this whole pandemic is going to slow down and give you a little break because you put a lot into it.
We're doing a homebound seniors on Friday, along with Rutland, and the school nurses are helping us out on Friday. And we're also doing the staff at the school for the school district on Monday.
Great.
Progress.
I'm sorry?
Progress, and it's
Oh,
been
yes.
a lot of
Yeah.
work trying to get it done.
Yes, it has. Well, thank you so much. You're welcome to stick around or not.
I'll
Up
probably
to
go
you.
home and have some supper.
Sounds like a plan. Thank
All right,
you. Okay, next up is Cheryl Donahue, the director of the Richard Sugden Library. And I know she's here because she said hello when I got on. So Cheryl, how are you?
Hi, very well, thank you. Okay, well, I'll start out with the salaries, which you can see are just, level funded with just a, 2% increase built in. And I am not going to come to you and ask for 2 additional part-time workers, which I have done every year since I've been here. But I understand that, times are really tight. And with COVID, we're going to just, try to just maintain with what we have. We have 6 staff people working. And so everyone knows we are, providing curbside services and phone services and giving out, we're giving out kits for kids to do activities at home. We're doing a lot of great Zoom programming. And we just had a a college fair via Zoom, and we're really trying to offer whatever we can while we are not open. Our building is not open to the public, but we've been circulating materials, and we've been working. The 6 of us have been working in the building, and we've been doing the best we can through this, and we hope that things will get better. And again, I've level funded my expenses, same as last year. So I haven't added anything to that. So it's, same as we asked for last year. And again, I'm trying to, I think that everyone understands that the part of the budget that is the materials budget, which what we spend on books and e-books and our things that we provide that go out of the building. We have to, by state mandate, if we want to get our grant money, which this year we got $10,000. If we want to get that money, we have to spend 16% of our budget, of our total budget, on materials. And just so everyone knows too, we have been circulating more hotspots, which provide internet access. And this year, because of the pandemic, we have loaned a few of our hotspots to the schools so that families that don't have internet access have been able to do their online classwork with the devices that we loaned to the schools. So we've been doing the best we can to, provide services during this challenging time.
Well, I know because every time I've ordered some books, I get the email to come and pick them up, and I pick them up. When I come to pick them up, I call the phone number, and within minutes, very few minutes, somebody's popping out the door with the books. So
yeah,
I know
people
that
have been so thankful and so gracious. People have been just really wonderful, and we haven't heard any complaints. And it's very heartwarming to see that that the town really supports the library.
and we just all want to be able to go back in and browse. That's all.
Oh yeah,
see
I
the
know.
new
Hey,
stuff in
Get
person.
the vaccination. Get my vaccination.
I know.
I'm ready.
Yeah. And now what about the HVAC?
Well, we're hopeful that the capital funds will be okay for us to complete the project. We, have finally completed the heating piece of the project. That just came to an end recently. And now we're hoping to move forward with the air conditioning, the air handling piece, which we know now that the quality of the air is really very important. And, the system is over 25 years old. So we are hoping that the remaining piece will be approved so that we can have a system that is up to date and efficient and is integrated. The systems are integrated, and that we can, move forward and be good for the next 25 years is what my hope is. Yeah.
Yeah. Anybody else have questions for Cheryl?
Mary?
Bill.
Cheryl, assuming hopefully at some point this over the next fiscal year, you'll be able to reopen full-time to the public. Looking at while you're not asking for them right now, going those 2 part-time positions would be something you'd do the year after. So be interested.
Yes, I hope so. I'll be back. I'll be back asking. You can bet for, it's been, I've asked for 4 years, and this year I thought we have to really just tighten our belts and do what we can. But no, I will be back asking for the 2 part-time people.
So
when the dust settles.
Yes. So my question on that, and I have a couple others, is what hours would you or services would you be able to add with those somewhere down the line? Secondly, does this budget proposal satisfy that grant requirement that you mentioned? And
Yes.
then separately,
Yes, it does.
a question to the administrator after that. So if you could
Yes,
address,
it does satisfy. It does
Yeah.
satisfy the state requirement. And, you know, obviously, when, you know, if eventually down the line, when staff is restored, we will be able to be open on the weekends. We will be open, in normal times, we were only open 32 hours. We really should be open at least 40 hours. And then, if we had additional staffing, we would be able to do a lot more outreach, which means, more home delivery, more programs outside of the building, different, we'd be able to offer, much, much more with additional staff. And, quite frankly, it just amazes me what we do with 6 people. And I'm very, very proud of what we accomplish with very small staff. So, I really want to give kudos to the library staff who are very dedicated and hardworking and, that really care about the community.
thank you, and we appreciate all you and your staff are doing in
Thank
these
you.
extraordinary times. Tom, the salary for the facilities maintenance worker for the library is eliminated. I'm assuming that's because the new highway position would assume that as part of their duties, but I want to confirm that, sir.
Through you, Madam Chair, to Bill, yes, that's correct. So the part-time facilities worker that the budget line that exists within the library and in the town hall maintenance would come out with the understanding that the new full-time position, if it's funded, would replace that. That's correct.
Thank you.
So those two, what's the money currently dedicated to those two would offset to a point. The new position would go toward offsetting the cost of the new position as well.
Yeah, combined about $19,000.
Okay, so 18% or so, 20%, but hey, okay, that helps some. Any other questions for Cheryl Donahue, the librarian? I will say that what I see coming across my my news feeds from the state library for library commissioners and things, cities and towns are supporting their libraries very well and recognizing the value, how much outreach libraries and librarians are doing to support the communities. So good job, Cheryl. Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone, any additional comments or questions for Cheryl? Hearing none. Welcome, Dr. Hicks. You just popped in as Cheryl Donahue is just finishing up. If you have anything for her before.
No, the only thing I want to make sure is that the heat is fine in there finally.
Oh, geez.
Yes, Ralph. Ralph, I have heat in my office. Yay.
Throughout the rest of the library, I hope. That's
I have
great.
I have a spare little plug-in heater.
That'll help
Knock
me.
on wood. Knock on wood, Ralph.
Yep. Well, I think you're going to be okay from here on in. Let's hope.
Okay.
Thank you,
I'll hold you to
Cheryl.
that.
Sorry I missed
Okay,
your
bye-bye.
presentation and those before
That's
you. I
okay.
was, Mary told you where I was. I think Tom told you where I
Tom
was.
said, yeah.
Thank you.
So thank you very much, Cheryl.
Bye-bye.
As I said, bye-bye. You're welcome to stay or
Oh,
go.
Well, I'm gonna get on a different apparatus to listen to the rest.
Oh, okay.
Okay. Bye-bye.
All right, next up is Pam Woodbury from the Council on Aging. Pam?
Hello. I will start the same way my two predecessors did with the increase in my salary. There are 2 of us that work at the senior center, as you know, and I have asked for an increase in hours to try and get that position up to the other department head positions as far as hours go. As all of you know, it's been challenging with the COVID that it's been. As a director, I have been in numerous conference calls and Zoom meetings with not just the Executive Office of Elder Affairs, but also with MCOA, due to the fact that this particular pandemic really, really impacted my population. The outreach worker currently is in the process of calling all the seniors in town, seeing what they need, seeing if they need an appointment to get, what do they have. During this challenging time, we did everything outside that we possibly could up until November 1st, and it got too cold to do anything else outside. What we have been doing is similar something at the senior center, such as medical equipment or any kind of application that we're doing over the phone now, you know, applying for Medicare, Mass Health, Social Security, you name it, we now have to do it over the phone. Even CHAMP applications have to be done over the phone. Unfortunately, some of these applications need to be signed. So we have the seniors come to the center, we meet them outside, they sign it, we bring it in, copy it, bring it back out. That worked very, very well. It has been a year that we have been closed to the public, and everything went fine until the construction in the building started in November, and we had to start working remotely. So now every call that comes into the senior center comes to my house. There was no way, we only have one telephone line, so there's no way to split it between the outreach worker and myself. So she is now doing other things as I handle every single call, which you can only imagine what it's been like since the beginning of February. Any questions on the hours that I have asked for every year? As you all know, I was supposed to retire last year. Unfortunately, when COVID came, there was just no way to really walk away from this when none of my seniors would have known the new director wouldn't have known the way the senior center ran. I wasn't going to be able to train anybody to walk into that position. And frankly, with the pandemic, there was no way I was going to be able to go anything or go anywhere or do anything. So I agreed to stay. I agreed to stay until the end of July of this year. What I noticed through Massachusetts Councils on Aging is that many directors over the last year have retired, some without any notice, and I think that was fear that they retired. So coming up in the next couple of months, you're going to have to hire a new senior center director. And I think it would be imperative to make sure they had more than 29 and a half hours a week. And that's it for salaries. Are there any questions?
I just want to say that, oh, is that Tom? Go ahead, Tom.
I just wanted to weigh in quickly. So I have increased the hours for the director's position from 32 to 34. So the 34 reflects 2 additional hours, because I understand the basis for the request, and the council has spoken to me in addition to Pam. So the hours have been increased to 34 for fiscal 22.
Great. I just wanted to say that I am just in awe of the work that you have had to do just with my tiny little experience in terms of trying to find a vaccine for myself or for my family. I can't imagine doing it on the scale that you and the chief and the Board of Health folks have been doing. It's relentless, and so many people need help partly because it's new, and partly because it's you just get to that age that you need all kinds of different services. And so good for you and wouldn't you know that your construction and your phone and everything would have to be would land at the same time, the perfect storm, unfortunately.
Well, Mary, I have to tell you, it's been a challenge. It's been very emotional because years pass And I
Mhm.
have I've had seniors that have been very, very sick, but it's just one foot in front of the other, one day at a time, and do what you can do. And the one thing that probably you know by now is I'm very tenacious. I don't give up. So when those appointments hit online, I am online 7 days a week looking to get my seniors vaccinated because I don't want them to get sick and die.
Yeah,
And so
yeah.
that's that's in the forefront of my mind every single morning when I get up to do that. But thank you.
Yeah, it's just, as I said, one little corner of the world, I can't imagine on the scale that you have to, that you folks have been dealing with it, the way you have. Any other questions on salaries for Pam?
Mary?
Bill?
I would like to echo your comments in regard to the extraordinary job in the passion and compassion that Pam has demonstrated under these extraordinary times. If it were not for her efforts, I don't know how many, her and the fire chief, how many seniors would not have been able to get the vaccine. So it's incredible. I've known Pam since I was chairman of the Council on Aging and interviewed her, and then we recommended her for the position. Frankly, it's one of the best decisions I was ever involved with, and now in these most difficult times, it shows because she's fighting for all of our senior community who gets larger every year. So Pam, I just want to extend my personal thanks and the thanks of the community for all your years of service and your continued service during these most toughest of times. You're truly a shining example of what all Spencer officials should aspire to.
Thank you, Bill.
So if there are no questions about salaries, did you want to move on to your expenses?
Well, excuse me, most of them are the same or level funded. The only thing I did approach Tom with is on our elevator fees, every year it goes up $35 a quarter. I don't know where they come up with that. They just do. So I did ask for another $140 to cover that. I also asked for a slight increase of $263 for my electric bill, just in case it goes up, and my gas bill. And the gas bill, now, I know that sounds like a lot of money, but I'm heating an entire building, and I have to have the lights on during the day when the seniors are there because they have to be able to see. And so that's it. I mean, I didn't ask for anything else. And as you all know, I get a pretty good sized grant from the state that pays for all my programs and my software upgrades and things like that to run all my programs, and anything that I need, I take out of that grant. And the expense account that I get from the town basically covers anything that isn't covered by the grant. But I do go to the grant first to make sure. Right now, there's going to be I don't know if we will get an increase in our grant amount because the census just finished. And under the way our grant is configured, we go by the census of seniors in this town for 10 years. So for 10 years, I had to go by a little over 2,400 seniors, and I knew there were a lot more than that. As of the end of September, because I think that September or October is when they quit the census, I just got the numbers, and we have 3,428 seniors in town right now. And the baby boomers are due to end, finally, on December 31st of 2024. After that, they should calm down as far as the influx of seniors. What I'm noticing, and I don't know, I mean, I've talked about this before, but if you watch the governor's State of the State address, when they were releasing the vaccine, the two agencies he mentioned that night were the Council on Aging and the ASAP. And an ASAP is what Tri-Valley is. So the state is really relying on councils and the gatekeepers, because we can take a senior into the senior center, and there's a lot of services we can provide, but there's a lot of services we can't, and programs we can't provide, but we know where to send these seniors for help. And to be perfectly honest with you, I have caseworkers and social workers calling us daily for our help. So we know our community, we know what's available, and that's what we do. So that's it.
So the grant is, it's based on per person, it's a
It's
fee
based-
per person, or?
Yes.
Yeah,
It's based
okay.
on it's based on per senior, and the state usually gives you a certain amount of money per senior. The first budget that came out from the state is they're going to pull $3 per senior away from us, and so we won't get much of an increase. Maybe because of the extra seniors, we were going to get a big increase. So it looks like we might get $500 more than we got the year before. But the MCOA is Massachusetts Councils on Aging are advocating for more money than the original budget request. So we'll see where that goes. But I always leave a little bit of wiggle room in that grant, because, you know, I pay 7 different instructors, you know, 7 instructors for 7 different classes. So I keep a little bit of wiggle room in there.
And did you benefit from any CARES Act money directly?
I did. Well, at the senior center, we were able to get, we didn't need PPE because it wasn't open, but
Right.
we did do things to anticipate our opening. Everything is taped off. You know, we bought oh my goodness, I can't think of what the name of it is, a machine that will sanitize everything, because I was going around, and I do go around every year, but we bought that. And then during the summer, after we were doing the exercise equipment, all the exercise classes, we're very sunny up there. So I spoke to the fire chief, and we put up tents. So we had a cost for tents to have that tented, so that the seniors could, you know, have a little bit of shade to exercise and visit under. And at that time, I got another grant to help us offset that from Central Mass Agency on Aging. So that was a small grant. That was only $1,000 grant, but it helped us do what we had to do. But the machine that I got to sanitize the senior center, since we were closed, I gave it to the town hall to sanitize, so that they could be able to use it to sanitize. So when it opens, when the senior center opens, I'll have to get my machine back.
You'll get it back, yeah.
Yeah, I'm hoping to open I'm really, really hoping that I can open pretty soon with a small group.
Well, it sounds as if a lot of seniors are getting vaccinated, so in town. So
yeah, well, we're really trying.
Yeah, so that'll help.
Yes, it will.
Yeah. Great. Well, any other questions from anyone else?
Mary?
Bill?
So if you're planning to open, Pam, then I would think that you would need to then get some PPE just in case. Secondly, I would say to the administrator that we should then, if the senior center needs its machine back, then I would recommend that you pursue getting one for the town hall, because both buildings should have their own, probably the library as well. And then Pam, since we won't have the benefit of this discussion at next year's recommendations as to what staffing levels should look like going forward to have the senior center staff the way it should be.
Well, that's a very difficult question, because every senior center is unique. And I'm watching the expansion of senior centers due to seniors driving. The seniors will drive the expansion of senior centers. But I know that Sturbridge Senior Center has a staff. I don't have a staff. They have a staff, and they've just hired a new person as a kitchen worker, because most senior centers now, a lot of them, are undertaking meals because the seniors really aren't interested. They don't eat the same nowadays as the Meals on Wheels. Meals on Wheels is trying to, they're doing everything they can to change to what the seniors want, but it's very difficult. Like if you go into a nice senior center like the Worcester Senior Center, not only do you have a meal there, but you have a bistro and a place where you can get a sandwich or coffee, or it's all changing. Staff-wise, we're one of the bigger senior centers with a very part-time outreach worker. Most of the senior centers like Charlton, they have a full-time senior outreach worker, and you really have to look around and do a survey. That will be something that I would hope that the Council on Aging will undertake in the future. But I did not want to start something that the new senior center director coming into would walk into. I didn't submit anything for capital because that's going to be up to whomever gets this position to prioritize what they need to or want to have done. And there haven't been a Council on Aging meeting since last March. So we're just, kind of limping by for now.
Well, thank you so much. Anyone else have anything to say? In that case, I'm sorry.
Madam Chairman, I'm just
Go
going to
ahead.
say, Pam, if you want to have a meeting, access the GoToMeeting platform. That's what it's there for.
I told Christine that. I've talked to Christine about that. She's the chair.
Right.
So she's contemplating that now, but you have to understand that a lot of the members, I guess, when they were surveyed, didn't want to do the GoToMeeting on Zoom or call in or any of that.
Okay. I was going to say the call-in feature would be more user-friendly for most of them, but
Yes.
it's their choice. I just wanted to make sure that, you knew that was available.
Oh yeah, I told her to call Brenda, so she has all the information when they're ready. But thanks, Ralph.
Thank you, Pam. Thanks, Madam Chair.
All right, you're welcome. And thank you, Pam. And you're welcome
Thank
to
you.
hang around, or you're welcome to free yourself up and enjoy the rest of your evening, whatever you'd like.
Thank you, Mary. Have a nice day.
Okay, you too. All right, next up is Otis, and Mr. Gregory is in charge of Otis for tonight. So, Tom.
Sure.
What's up?
So we have well, actually, is the next one Parks and Recreation? I'm sorry.
Oh, I'm sorry. Pardon me. It is Parks and Recreation. I skipped right over you. That would be Rob Churchy. Rob,
Yeah.
is Rob there? Or is...
Yeah, I'm here.
Just let the record reflect that I'm shifting roles to a park commissioner and stepping down from the FinCom discussion for this item.
Okay, so we have two park commissioners. Rob, you're the chair, correct?
Correct, I'm the chair.
Okay, and then Bill. All right, so
Can you hear me fine? I'm in my truck driving, so.
oh yeah, no, we can hear you. Everybody all set, right? I can hear you fine.
Okay.
Thank you. All right, so we have your budget, if that helps, or if Bill has it in front of him.
I
mean,
got it. No, I got it right. I just pulled over. I got it right in front of me.
Oh, good.
So if we start my salary and wages, everything pretty much stayed the same until you get down to the stipend for the head lifeguards and assistant director. We put in $2,000 for that. And because of that is when our waterfront director is not there or not available because I only work 40 hours. It's only fair to pay the person that's running the beach. And they're very busy, so we're giving them a little stipend. So we figured about $2,000 would get us through the season, giving them a stipend for doing that. Because we already have someone that's ahead, and then we have someone that backs them up as well. So it's at different times.
Good.
Okay. Any questions on our salaries?
When, now, when do you open and when do you close? And is that going to be affected by, COVID?
Nope, we're gonna open in June like we always have. We have money already in our budget from this year to open up in June. We always close in August. Last year we opened up right on time. We didn't have swimming lessons because of COVID, but we kept the staff because we needed the staff for the parking attendants. We had to beef up our parking attendants because of COVID. And also we needed to add staff on the beach because we had a heavy inflow of people into the park, and to the point that once in a while we had to shut it down, stop people from coming in till people left. We did have very heavy usage this year of the park. We went through 500 stickers and we ran out, and we still had people showing up. So as long as they were showing their license with their town address, we were letting them in. So the park was heavily used this year, staff working.
Good.
People weren't going on vacations. You know, they don't have pools. They're not going anywhere. They like the park, so it really worked out well.
And it's outdoors, so it was great to have it.
Yep.
So any other salary questions? Do you have any sense at all of whether that's going to go on again this summer, and you're going to need extra staff to meet the need, or there's probably no way to tell though?
No, we have enough staff on hand. If we don't have, we're planning on doing swimming lessons this year. If things keep going the way they are with COVID, we're going ahead with swimming lessons, unless we get from the health department. We can't do it, but we can use that staff in other places to help keep people 6 feet distance. The parking attendants are very important. We use 3 per shift because we have to have a floater and then 1 on each end because people are trying to come in the back way because we have the flow of traffic. Plus we'll have, if we're still in COVID, we're still going to have heavy usage of the lake. So we got enough with our staff we have right now, and I think we'll be fine. We don't need any more staff.
Good.
We're going to figure it out one way or another. Either we have swimming lessons or not. We've got enough staff.
Oh, good. Okay. Any other questions so far for Rob? Okay. How about your facilities and equipment?
Okay. So I'm not trying to rush this along, but if you look down, everything was pretty much the same from 21 until you get to Charter Communications at Luther Hill. That has gone up. And what we use that for is our security cameras. So it was 1,080 last year. It's gone up to 1,380 this year. So that has gone up. And the next line down, 1,900, that's also for our security connections and our other parks we're adding. We have money to put cameras down at Powder Mill, and we're putting cameras over at O'Gara. So we have to pay for connections and service for that. So that's why we have a $1,900 fee for that. It's gone up this year.
And where do you monitor those?
Well, the ones, everything's going to go back to the police station.
Okay.
That's the way the system's set up. This year, it didn't get hooked up to the police station like it should have. It was because of COVID. You weren't letting people in the police station, and they just kept missing each other. But we have DVRs at each location, and we'll have it going back to the police station to be monitored.
Excellent. Thank you.
Okay. We can go back down to next thing goes up is our concerts in the parks. We didn't do any last year. We did raise it up to another $500. It's a great outdoor activity. The other towns around us did it. We didn't do it. We are also working with Pat George from the Exchange Club, but on his own, he took on, because he does entertainment, he got us a grant from Cornerstone Bank, And we're gonna have concerts this year down at Powder Mill. Some real good bands working with that, and we're also gonna do some stuff up at Luther Hill.
Yes, the cultural council money that we weren't able to spend last summer, the state is allowing us to use this upcoming summer.
Right. And did you,
Oh.
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Go ahead.
Well, I saw that actually in the paper today that the cultural council money statewide was being allowed to be carried over. Did you apply for any additional cultural council grants this year as well?
We did. I haven't heard as to whether they're giving us additional money on top of what we weren't able to use, but yes, we did apply.
Okay.
So between that and Cornerstone, we're really going to step up the concerts this year. I think it'll be well attended. Like I said, we having Pat George behind it, bringing in some really good bands, and doing stuff down Powder Mill, and also using Luther Hill, its location. This is what we're going to do with that, and get people out and enjoying themselves.
Great.
So you go down to O'Gara, okay?
Yeah.
Like I said, we go to O'Gara. Nothing's changed with O'Gara. It actually has gone down. It was 18,700 21. We're only going for 18,200 for O'Gara for this year. So that's gone down.
Yeah, we have bought a new lawnmower, so it requires less maintenance.
Right. We picked up a lot a couple of years ago. We bought a lawn tractor, a real tractor, and it's got a mowing deck and all the attachments, so it's cutting down on our maintenance of our older machine. Luther Hill itself, everything's staying the same, except we're adding a dumpster service this year. And nothing against highway or anybody like that, but last year, because we had some storms and other things go on, and we had such an influx of people, the highway only comes down and picks up our trash on, I think, Tuesdays or Wednesdays. Because the dumps only open on Wednesdays. I actually went down there, and myself and Tony Toscano had to go down and do all the trash on a Saturday. It was everywhere. And so for $1,500 for the season, we can get a dumpster. We can load it. The highway doesn't have to worry about it. It's secure. Animals aren't getting into it. And dumpster services will come and pick it up and remove it for us. Like I said, it got pretty bad last year because we had so many people. We only have so many trash barrels, and it was getting on the ground. It really was a mess. Like I said, we spent probably about 4 hours on a Saturday, a couple Saturdays, cleaning it up. No fault the highway. They were out during a storm all week, so they weren't able to get there to do the trash. We just think this is the best thing for us to keep the trash clean, picked up. You know, you get a lot of animals down there too. You get bears walking through now, raccoons and everything else. And the barrels are overflowing. It ends up everywhere. So we're trying to keep it cleaner. So that was added this year for $1,500. So that brings us up. We went up from 11,200 to 12,700. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay. I
Yep.
hear as well. Okay.
I know this is tricky. Sorry.
Yeah, it's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Powder Mill has stayed the same. As far as same as last year, we have not gone up on that. We do have capital money we'll be spending, just to keep you up to date, on lighting. We put in for lighting this year. We did have some vandalism down there this year. There was a plaque put up for a gentleman that was like, he was born and lived in Spencer all his life, but he was one of the first people to die in World War II. And the plaque was vandalized, and we had other vandalism. So with the money that's been put in there by private donations, we're going to add more lighting, and we need that for the camera system we got approved last year. So it helps with the cameras. So that has stayed the same this year. If you go down to our rail trail, We've gone up on miscellaneous rail trail. We've gone up to $1,000. We had nothing in there. I mean, we have trees that fall. We have we have some vandalism, not a lot, but we have washouts. We have to replace the material and stuff. It's very heavily used down there also. So we put some money in there for miscellaneous rail trail repairs and things like that. Vegetation management. I'm sorry, vegetation management. Because we did have some trees come down this year, vines growing over onto the trail. So we're trying to keep that cleaned up too.
Yeah. That's good. Okay.
And that's what I got.
Great.
So if you have any questions, I'm not trying to rush it. I'm just going
Nope.
through it.
That's quite all right. Anybody have any questions for Rob or Bill?
Madam Chair, I would just note that we are consistently putting substantial dollars, as in prior years, continuing to do that for the parks so that we'll be able to maintain them going forward and hopefully have less capital expenditures going forward. And as such as what Rob mentioned with the donation of the pavilion and the playground equipment, some of those items, as other groups or we find other ways to make it happen, those come off of the capital plan. So we've actually been able to take some of those items off thanks to the generous support of the Exchange Club and other folks.
Great. And how about the grandstand at O'Gara?
Go ahead, Rob.
All right. So we did a study on that. If you didn't know, we put studying on that.
I have a copy of it.
Okay. So we did put in for our capital this year, I believe 25,000. We're trying to do just like when you did the annex on the fire station, a little bit at a time, you know, piecemeal it, get some things done. We did do some parts with our money this year, and we secured it to try to keep homeless people out from underneath it and people potting underneath it, because we did have, they're building campfires and things underneath it. It is like the second oldest grandstand in the country. Built in the 1930s by FDR's money during the Depression. There's a lot of history there, so we're trying to do it in small chunks, and that's what we're asking for with capital money. We do get a lot of vandalism down there. Hopefully, when the cameras are all up, we'll get that all done. Working with Marty German, working with Spectrum or Charter, he was able to get like $8,000 worth of work done for $500. They're gonna do all the run all the cable in for us. It's gonna cost us like $500. They're allowed to do up to $8,000, and they're gonna run it up to the green building we have at front, the old money collection booth, the booth there, and then from there they're gonna run it up to the grandstands. So the camera systems will finally get in. This took a long time to get someone to help with Spectrum to get us to do this. Marty has all kinds of ways, and he came up with it. Thank God he's on the board. And we're going to have that done very cheaply and have all the security system in there. So we'll be happy with that.
So there is a Mass Cultural Council has a grant program for historic properties like that. If you want, I can send you the link and the information, because it may qualify
Yes,
because
please.
it's historic age.
That would
Historic,
be awesome.
you know. So all right, if I don't remember, well, Bill will remind me. If I don't remember to send it to you by tomorrow, I'll get an email from Bill that says, "Where is it?" Right, Bill?
Mary.
Okay, so I will.
Any little bit of help we can get with that.
Yeah, I don't know what their cycle is. You know, it's an annual thing, but it's worth looking. I think it's worth looking into. Any additional questions or comments for Rob or Bill? Okay, hearing none. Thank you so much. Rob, you can resume your journey, and Bill, you can put your other hat back on. And, okay, this time it really is Tom for Otis.
Okay, hi.
Welcome, Mr. Gregory.
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. So I'll give a brief overview of the Otis salaries and expenses budget. On the salary side, really not much new other than the contractual increases and the step increases on the non-union side. I will highlight the recording secretary, the new part-time position, the non-union position, which you see I have funded for about 14 hours per month. This is intended to provide some greater administrative efficiency in the department. The planning board and ZBA meetings of late, some of them have been 3-4 hours long. And in addition to creating some challenges around creating those minutes, I'm also running into a union issue where some of the senior clerk who takes the minutes is working beyond what she's contractually authorized to work for her set of hours for a day. So the creation of this new position would be placed into the town's classification and compensation plan and go before town meeting first to be approved. And if it's approved, I'm recommending it be funded at the rate you see, $16.50 per hour. So it's hoped that A, town meeting will approve the position, and then B, it will be funded by town meeting, again, to provide some administrative efficiencies in the department. So other than that, there's really nothing new to share with you on the salary. On the expenses, a few points to make here. The CMRPC assessment goes up a bit. It goes up a bit each year, and you can see the increase. And then moving down, a few new items here. So you can see the Mechanic Street parking lot charge stations. There are 2 new charge stations, and the cost to operate those charge stations is now incorporated into the otis expenses budget. And then moving down a little further, you can see I have a placeholder number of $5,000 for the annual maintenance / license fee that will be required for the new e-permitting system that we're hoping to stand up on July 1st. I don't know what that number is yet because we haven't opened the price proposals. When we issued the RFP last month, we instructed vendors, per the usual RFP process, to submit their technical proposal in one envelope and then a sealed price proposal in another envelope. And the process is such that the committee of Todd Miller, George Russell, Dwayne, Amos downstairs reviews all the technical proposals and then ranks them based on the criteria that we've set for what we want most. And we're in the process of going through that vetting of the proposals, the technical proposals. We have a couple of product demonstrations lined up next week. So I would say once we've selected a finalist, we would then open the price proposal to see what it will cost, both the one-time implementation costs as well as the recurring maintenance and license renewal fees. So I've just sort of taken a number, $5,000 as a placeholder. So I'm hoping it's going to be less than that each year. So I'm hoping it's a conservative number. And then the other 2 items here, 2 new items. The plotter has been something that's been desired by Otis prior to me arriving. The desire to print out full-scale 24 by 36-inch plans is something that would be of great value to all of the land use boards and commissions down there, as well as a color printer especially for the Conservation Commission to better capture images in the field. So you see here these 2 items. Year 1 lease costs for both of those items. I also have these bundled into the capital request. Even though the year one lease is under $10,000, the total value combined pushes it over 10 grand. So my thought is because it's in the interest of disclosure, because it's a new priority, I wanted to include that in the capital as well. So the committee will be reviewing those particular requests Thursday night. And what I'll do is I'll share with the finance committee the memo that Todd Miller wrote, the new town planner, outlining the kind of a justification for these two new items, the plotter and the color printer. I'll send that out tonight.
Sure.
So,
Is the color printer large scale? Is that what makes it important?
it can print large. I believe it can print large scale. I'll have to ask Todd that question. But the being able to print color pictures would be of great value to the especially to the Conservation Commission. But I'll ask on the question on whether that can print large scale pictures.
And the same with the scanner. I mean, sometimes I'm sure they want to scan large scale docs as well. So
right.
Yeah. One other question: the electric parking, the charging stations. Is there a fee for those? When people plug into them, do they have to pay?
I believe there is a fee. I'll have to check. I believe there is a fee. There is revenue that comes into the town. Let me make a note of that. I don't know what that is. So we'll look that up.
Yeah, it just seems it. So that would go into it, just into the general fund.
General fund.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, there must be. Yes, sir.
Madam Chairman, Gary here.
Gary, hi.
All those including the two at the town hall, are operated by a credit card.
Oh, okay.
So there's a fee to charge.
Yep.
Thank you.
And so the town gets some revenue. Thanks. Any additional questions about Otis for Tom?
Madam Chair.
Bill.
Tom, I recall in prior budget year discussions, a request to increase the conservation agent hours. Do you feel that is still a future potential need, not this year, but in future years?
Through you, Madam Chair, I think potentially an increase could be warranted. In my conversations with George, he hasn't really articulated the need right now. So, but I know that he's certainly a busy man. So I haven't had that conversation with him in some time, but I don't see it as a pressing need at the moment.
Good. Okay. Anyone else? In that case, thank you very much. The members of the select board are more than welcome to stay or not, whatever you'd like to do, because we'll just continue with the regular finance committee meeting from here if there are no more questions about Otis.
Madam Chairman?
Yes, sir.
Thanks, Mary. Gary, you're on. Is anybody else on from the board besides Gary? Sounds like it's just Gary.
I think it was just you and I, Ralph. I've been on it. I had to dial in a couple of times because they couldn't hear me first. So it's only you and I, my friend.
I've been doing this for about 3 hours now, so I am gonna say goodnight to everybody. And I want to thank the finance committee. I don't know if I've ever said it before, but you put a lot of hours, and you're like one of the unsung heroes, if you will, of the boards in the town that does a lot of work behind the scenes and a lot of time. And I want to tell you that I do appreciate it. So thank you very much and have a good evening.
Thank you very much. It's very nice to hear that. We do appreciate it. Thank you very much. Because sometimes we feel a little misunderstood.
Well, I get it.
So, yeah.
I know the feeling.
Yes, I bet you do. All right. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so we'll move on to the next item on our agenda, correspondence. I don't have any. Do you, Tom, was there anything in our box? Probably not, huh?
No,
Sometimes,
Chair, I didn't
yes.
see anything, no.
Okay, sometimes Bay Path sends out, well, they always send out a hard copy. I don't think it's ready yet, so that'd be almost the only thing. Everything else, the only other things I get come electronically now, and I fire them all off to all of you. I will say I have had some interest in the openings on the Finance Committee. I haven't heard from Brenda that she received any formal applications yet, but I am anticipable anyway so far. So, okay. So no correspondence, liaison reports. Bill Shemuth, the budget hearing. I'm sorry, the Spencer East Brookfield Regional Schools. They just had their budget hearing. Okay.
They just had a budget workshop last Thursday. Their regular budget hearing was tonight, but I don't anticipate much would have changed. And Tom, I believe you sent the latest version to all the committee members. My understanding is there's about $180,000 difference from what they're asking for to what Tom feels we can fund at the moment.
118,000.
118,000.
That's right.
And there is the school district is anticipating receiving some grant funds from the COVID bill that is being discussed in Washington, D.C. at the moment. And they were discussing how to apply that and what impact that may or may not have on the towns. We'd have some decisions to make about what we want to do or may not want to do in that regard. So as I get more info, I'll be prepared to discuss that in more detail. I'll review the taping of the regular school board meeting tonight and be able to speak to that at our next meeting.
Yep, I have the link to the budget workshop. I just have not had time to watch it yet, but I'll be looking at both of them as well. Okay, next, the building committee. Tomorrow, the subcommittee, the designer selection subcommittee, our portion of it, Paul Hahi, Gary Suter, and myself will meet with the owner's project manager team to review the submissions. We had 8 submissions for project designers, architects, and the project designers do not do all the work in-house. They bring in consultants. The package that we get is extremely controlled. It's 100% controlled by Mass School Building Authority. They have, and anyone who, these are some standard forms that anyone who's applying for public jobs fill out, some very standard things about past experience and things like that. So they're packets of little spiral bound. Each one has a brief introduction that they're free to write, and they have the summary at the end that is limited to 6 pages that they're free to write. Everything else is reporting projects they've worked on. They have to list all the sub-consultants they're going to use, and they have to list sources of recommendations. The owner's project manager team has verified the recommendations. They did all that. They've done all that work so far. So tomorrow we will be reviewing the 8 proposals, discussing the recommendations, etc. And then the plan is to meet with the state, with the Mass School Building Authority Designer Selection Committee, which consists of 12 people, so 12 of them, 3 of us. We've asked about doing site visits and things like that as well, because I personally have been involved in enough construction and worked in enough school buildings and libraries that what looks spectacular on paper and the pretty pictures and stuff may or may not be as pretty as the pictures make them seem. So that's not to cast aspersions. That's just to say the reality of the situation is, I just think it would be important to go see some of the work that these people have done. But anyway, I guess that will come up tomorrow. We'll discuss whether we're allowed, because Mass School Building Authority is very, very prescriptive. Very prescriptive. So we'll see. So that's where that's at. And the decision then, I would hope by, depending, MSBA meets twice a month. So that we would be on tap for one of the meetings in April, so that with luck, the decision would be made in the month of April. And then once the designer's on board, then then the next phase, module 4, begins. And that's when the real work, the really digging in to get the project cooking, begins. FMPC, Paul and Bill.
We haven't met the last time we had a.
Okay. I have checked. We had gotten, I don't know, we got maybe 9 or 10 responses to the survey. So far, I mean, so without doing any publicity, people have just been popping on and responding to it. CIPC, I think Chris Woodbury, did you make it? No, Chris has been at, oh, you did? Oh, good. Oh, there you are. Okay. Good.
We had a meeting last Saturday. We did meet at the library to discuss the HVAC project that is going on there, and to see what's actually there in the equipment and what's going on with it. Then from there, we went to the Parks and Rec down to O'Gara. We went through all their capital needs down there and seen it with our eyes. Then tonight, we also had another meeting where we went through the fire chief's capital requests, similar to what you guys heard tonight from the chief. And we also went through the library again with her. We did set a meeting for this coming Thursday. And as you all know, we have about $5 million worth of projects. And this year we're slated to maybe have $400,000 to do capital requests. So it's very limited on funds with big projects that we need to have completed. But that's it for right now.
Okay, thanks. Great. Any questions for anybody on these committee reports? All right, Tom, town administrators, do you have, I know you sent us your latest iteration of the budget. Anything else?
So, Madam Chair, I don't have a whole lot to share that's new with the committee right now. So, as Mr. Shemeth mentioned earlier, so the delta between what I've recommended in fiscal projection 1 that I filed on February 22nd and what the regional school district has issued in their version 3 document is $118,000. So, I mean, the good news is it's lower than the delta is lower than it had been with versions 1 and 2, but we're still quite a ways apart. Now, I have a meeting tomorrow with Dr. Haughey and Mr. Suter to talk about the details of their request. I have some questions around the potential use of these ESSER funds, these coronavirus federal funds, which would be essentially a one-time reduction to the Spencer's minimum local 2. So I have some concerns about how that's going to play out and be. So I really that's where I am right now. I haven't made any changes to the municipal budget since the filing on February 22nd. So I can report back. I'll be able to report back to the committee after I meet with the superintendent and Mr. Suter tomorrow.
And I know, so I was reading, and I had exactly the same thought about the ESSER fund. So it's important to know what they're going to use them for if they're one-time funds, given our town, on the town side, the idea that we use one-term funds. I mean, yeah, one-term funds for one-term items to not for operating. So I share your concern, your questions, etc.
Yeah, it wasn't all that clear, Madam Chair, that they wouldn't be looking for to fund some positions with that one-time money. So clarification is important.
Yep, right.
I can,
So, I mean, and then, I mean, perhaps those could be leveraged the way the fire department leveraged their funds. I mean, who knows? We have to get the answers. Chris, did you have anything to chime in on, or Chris Woodbury?
yes, I can tell you what the district is applying the reduction of minimum local contribution if that happens. It's going to be for 2 full-time special education preschool paraprofessional, 1 full-time special education teacher for Wire Village, 2 full-time special education paraprofessional positions for East Brookfield, and 2 full-time special education teachers for David Prouty. If it's reduced, that's what the funds would be used for.
Okay, so they would be positions, not capital items or anything like that. Okay.
That is correct.
Yeah, do they have any thought that those positions would only be for 1 year because of enrollment that they see going down, or needs
They
changing or
plan
things
on
like that?
continuing these.
Okay. All righty, good to know. So they will be on tap for our next meeting. I sent you all an email and asked what you thought about meeting at 6 or 6:30. I heard back from all but 2 people, and Chris Bowen, you're one of them. Would you be able to meet on the 23rd at 6 or 6:30 or not?
Yes, either one would be
Okay.
fine.
Okay, great, thanks. Those are the 2, when Bay Path and Spencer East Brookfield come, those can get long. We have 3 small departments and those 2. Excellent, great, wonderful. I will set it up for 6, and then with any luck, we'll be done at a reasonable hour. Okay, so Tom, did you have anything else?
I had nothing else, Madam Chair.
Great, thank you. Anybody else have anything? Okay, other than that, would somebody care to make everybody's favorite motion?
I'll make a motion to adjourn.
Thank you very much. Second?
I'll second it.
I'm
Dennis.
sorry. Dennis. Thanks, Dennis. Okay. Roll call vote. I'm not sure if this is roll call or not, but anyway, I'll just do a roll call so we're covered. Paul McLaughlin,
Aye.
Bill Wall,
Aye.
Ed,
Aye.
Dennis,
Aye.
Chris Bowen,
Aye.
Chris Woodbury,
Aye.
and the chair votes aye. Thank you so much. We'll see you at 6 o'clock on March 24th. I imagine we'll still be remote by that time. Tom, we wouldn't be back in town hall by then, you don't think, do you?
Yes, no, you're correct. We'll be remote then.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. Good night, everybody.
Aye.
Thank you.